The scripture this morning comes to us from Luke's Gospel, the 19th chapter. Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town. There was a man there named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass that way. When Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. "Zacchaeus," he said, "quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today." Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. "He's gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner," they grumbled. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, "I will give half my wealth to the poor, Lord, and if I have cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much." Jesus responded, "Salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost." This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Will you bow with me for prayer? God, we give you thanks and praise for your holy and living word. We ask, Lord, that you would open our hearts and our minds, our spirits, as you speak to us this day. And Father, by the empowerment of your Holy Spirit, may we hear and receive the message that you have for us. And Father, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts would be acceptable unto you, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, now, regardless of what you may have heard or read or seen in the movies, Frank and Jesse James, 2 of the most famous outlaws of all times, were actually cold-blooded murderers. Some of the movies like to romanticize the story a bit. But their father, though, was a Baptist pastor and the founder of William Jewell College in Liberty, Kentucky. And their mother was raised in a Catholic convent. Both parents espoused values very different from that their sons held. Yet Robert James, their father, actually deserted his wife and sons when they were still very small so that he could search for gold in California. But enough about the Baptists. Another of the men who terrorized the West was named John Wesley Hardin. Guess where he got his name? Hardin was the son of a Methodist circuit rider who also taught school and practiced law. Hardin's father, a fervent Texan, raised his son to hate the North. When Hardin, at age 14, shot and killed a black man in honest self-defense, his father sent him away, not trusting the justice of the Northern Reconstruction government in Texas. Now, Hardin subsequently killed federal soldiers on a number of occasions, even though the Civil War had ended years earlier. He also spent 17 years in prison for shooting a deputy. Perhaps John Wesley Hardin would have taken a different path if his father had not hated the government so much, if his father had not shielded him from facing justice when he shot his first victim. Regardless, it's clear that even though the fathers of Frank and Jesse James and John Wesley Hardin were men of the cloth, they were not great role models. Have you ever wondered how to tell if someone has truly committed their life to Jesus Christ? You know, there's so many phonies out there. So much that goes under the name of religion is really exploitation. And now this past week, the renowned preacher and evangelist Billy Graham passed away at the age of 99. One wonders how many souls are in God's kingdom today as a result of his ministry. See, I believe he was most certainly the real deal. But we know that many have been misled by religious leaders who didn't walk the talk. So how can you tell genuine faith? Well, time and again, Jesus gave us the formula. You shall know a tree by its fruit. That's it. It's as simple as can be. A bad tree cannot bear good fruit, and a good tree cannot bear bad fruit. You can always tell. So we consider this little man named Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus had determined he was going to see a miracle take place in his own life. Now, a chief tax collector does not climb a tree unless he's desperate. It's kind of hard to maintain your dignity while you're shimmying up a sycamore. But there Zacchaeus was. Small of stature, there was no other way he could behold the master passing by, and he was determined that if there was any hope for him at all, he was not going to miss this opportunity. Zacchaeus reminds me of a story that former coach John Madden tells about Jim Burt, a professional football player who played for the New York Giants. Jim was an All-American at the University of Miami, but he was ignored by the NFL draft. He had to talk the Giants into signing him. When at training camp, he heard that when a rookie was going to be cut by a team, an equipment boy would knock on the door of his room and tell him to go see the coach. You know what Jim did? Bill Parcells, the Giants coach, told Madden. Jim slept on the floor under the bed. He figured if someone came to his room but couldn't find him, he couldn't get cut. Parcell found out about this strange but determined strategy when he saw him, and he looked like death warmed over. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. And so he told the coach he'd been sleeping on the floor for the last 5 nights. Well, that's determination. It's difficult to deny someone with that kind of determination. Zacchaeus had that kind of determination. Impervious to his pride or his place in the community, he shimmied up that sycamore tree so that he could see Jesus. Well, now, was it just curiosity? Well, maybe. But maybe he longed for a change in his life. Perhaps he believed that Jesus could bring that kind of change. So he climbed up the tree and he waited. And his diligence was rewarded. For Jesus spotted him up there in that tree and called him to come down. Quick! Zacchaeus, come down. I must be a guest in your house today. And everybody around was saying, say what? The master stay in the house of a despised tax collector? Well, yes, indeed. Let the crowd murmur. Let the self-righteous squirm. Jesus knew Zacchaeus was searching, and he knew that he was serious. What more would Christ look for in a human heart? Someone who's determined to make a new start, to experience new life. But there's more. It was more than mere curiosity, and it was more than just recognizing a need for change. Zacchaeus was willing to make whatever changes were necessary in order to experience this new life that he so craved. See, so often people want to experience new life, but they want to do it on their terms. They want to do it without making any real changes in their lives. They want things to change without making any change. Next year, I'm going to be a changed person, Charlie Brown yells to Lucy. And Lucy says, that's a laugh, Charlie Brown. So I mean it. I'm going to be strong and firm. Forget it, Lucy says as she walks away. You'll always be wishy-washy. Why can't I change just a little bit, said Charlie Brown. He yells out to Lucy as she's leaving, I'll be wishy one day and I'll be washy the next day. Well, it's kind of the degree of change many of us desire. Rather than wishy-washy, we'll just be wishy one day and washy the next. We want life to be better, but we want it to happen without any significant action on our part. There are those that may make it up to the altar to accept Jesus Christ into their lives, but then they want to get up from that altar and go back to living the same way they did before. But the reality is you can't have it both ways. The reality of a true conversion is that life is never really the same again. Yes, it's true. Our salvation comes to us as a free gift of God's grace. But receiving that gift and opening it will elicit some action on our part. And it will most definitely bring about a change, not just within us, but externally in how we live our lives. And the idea of that kind of change can frighten us, quite frankly. We want to achieve our dreams without adjusting our deeds. We think, well, if I just changed my job or changed my spouse or changed locations, that everything would be just so much better. What we're basically searching for is magic. We want to be able to manipulate life without it costing us anything. But what Jesus brings us is not magic, but medicine. Because there's something sick within the human heart. There was something sick in Zacchaeus. He could not be the same person that he had been if he took the master's medicine. And he surely must have realized that. But he was determined and he was willing to change. And finally, Zacchaeus was willing to live out that which he made this verbal commitment to. He said, I'll give half my wealth to the poor, Lord, and if I've cheated people on their taxes, I'll give them back 4 times as much. Pretty impressive. Zacchaeus saw the kind of change that was needed in his life, and he made it. He put his money where his heart was. Jesus has that kind of effect on people. He can make the greedy generous. He can make the weak strong. He can make the resentful kind. His touch can work miracles where people are searching and are willing to change. But more than just looking for answers and making a public profession of our faith, that's the easy thing to do. We must live it out. Live out the things that we say we believe. We can't just give lip service to our faith on Sundays. We have to have the courage to make the necessary changes in our lives Monday through Saturday too. For all of the material wealth that Zacchaeus most likely had, he knew that there was still something very important missing in his life. And that's what drove him up that tree in order to see this one that he'd been hearing about. This one who brought healing and hope to hopeless souls. And Jesus always had a way of seeing those who others preferred to overlook. Jesus could always tell when a soul was searching. Zacchaeus was searching for a miracle in his life, and his searching led him to Jesus. And when Jesus found him up that tree and called him down, something profound happened in his life. Jesus took the time to really see Zacchaeus and to spend time with him. And something changed inside Zacchaeus. Priorities changed. Values changed. He changed. And because of that change, he was willing to make the necessary adjustments in order to experience this new life that he had just uncovered. You see, it's one thing to have this profound experience where you sense and you know God's presence and his power. And it's quite another to take that moment and make it a lifetime. And that's what Zacchaeus did. That's what Jesus is calling us to do. Make our experience of salvation the power behind our day in and day out living. Our journey with Jesus often begins a lot like Zacchaeus. We find ourselves up a tree, if you will. searching for something more. You know, all the trophies we have on our shelves, all the wealth and power that we think will complete our lives falls miserably short. And we're searching for something more. Up that tree, looking for a miracle. Jesus sees us. Jesus knows us. And Jesus is calling us to come down and spend time with him. Zacchaeus chose to come down from that tree and spend time with Jesus. And his life was never the same. So here's the warning. Once we really encounter Jesus and once his word becomes real to us, we will change. Now, we might look the same, sound the same, but something inside us will change and others will notice. And it might seem kind of scary. But you know what? I don't think Zacchaeus ever looked back or regretted his decision. I don't know of anyone who's made that kind of sincere decision to follow Jesus who has regretted it. Because in making that decision, you realize, like Paul, that everything else is worthless compared to the infinite value of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord. And like Paul, you can say, for his sake, I've discarded everything else, counting it all as garbage so I could gain Christ and become one with him. Last week, I asked the adult Sunday school class, what's the greatest risk you've ever taken? And there were a variety of different answers that came about. And I asked that question following a conversation that Don and I had had the day before when we were in the car. And as Don and I had talked about it, we considered how getting married at such a young age was quite a risk. And I thought about quitting a job that I really liked, working at a bank, in order to work in the family photography business, and then later go into a business partnership with my brother. All of those things might be considered kind of risky. But you know, within each of those risks was a great opportunity. Back in 1996, when Don and I went into pastoral ministry, many thought we were taking a great risk. Don's dad had a serious sit-down with him about the risk he was taking and taking his grandbabies so far away from home to a job that he knew nothing about and leaving a job that he'd been at for 20 years. We'd burning our bridges behind, leaving jobs, selling our home, uprooting our children without any real knowledge of what it meant to be a pastor was about the biggest risk you could take. And when we look back on it now, you know, we see the risk that was involved. We see there were certainly risks in it, but oh my, the opportunities. And in all honesty, at the time, it never seemed like a big risk at all. And we've never regretted that decision, and God has certainly been guiding us and providing for us all along. You see, on our journey with Jesus, I want to ask you, what is it you're searching for? Are you up that tree just looking for a miracle? I want you to know Jesus sees you up there. And Jesus is calling you to come down that tree and spend time with him. Perhaps instead of a miracle, Jesus will prescribe the medicine of change and challenge that will turn your life around. I don't want you to be afraid of that change, because within any risk that you take, there will be an amazing opportunity awaiting. And anything that Jesus leads you to, he will give you the strength and the power to get you through. Amen.